Terry's here. I'll tell you, we're moving ahead. Yeah. Hey, Terry.
So, is our phone?
Are we all ready, Denise?
We're ready.
Are we? All right. Everybody, you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
All right, well then I'd like to call the meeting to order and stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we want to have the roll call, please.
Jamie Girardi,
Here.
Peter Hansel,
Here.
Roberto Size, Christopher Poole,
Here.
Chris Williams,
Here.
and Chairman Charles Gray.
Here. Okay. And you want to read proof of publication, please?
When we get to BC3, if you can promote Christina Acosta.
The items were published in the Tampa Bay Times on February 3rd, 2021, February 21st, 2021, March 10th, 2021, and March 21st, 2021.
All right, thank you. So we'll be swearing in as the people come up to the podium.
Christina Acosta, she's the
So we'll do that one at a time.
She's presenting for staff.
And we have no
Yeah, I
minutes
see
to
that.
approve. So, for those who can hear that haven't been here before, Planning Commission is appointed by the county commissioners and we meet twice a month. We serve at the local planning agency and we hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings and conditional use requests. The Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, final decisions may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission transmits a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it's important for you to attend the appropriate County Commission meeting. And for those of you who are not familiar with the procedures, these are as follows. We have three categories: continuances, consent, and regular items. Continuances we typically grant coming from the staff or the applicant unless there are extenuating circumstances. On consent, we will go through those items one at a time. If there's anything on consent that needs to be pulled, people at the podiums will have to let us know so we can pull them from consent. Otherwise, if there are no objections, they'll stay on consent and they'll be voted on at one time. And then we have regular items. Those are items not placed on consent and not continued. And they'll be discussed one at a time. Applicants will have 3 minutes to make their presentations, and citizens will have 3 minutes to state their concerns. And following that, then the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut or answer any questions. Have there been any requests for additional time?
There are no requests for additional time.
Okay, thank you. This would be a good time for anybody who's here if you have a phone that's not in the silent position, this is a good time to do that. So before we start the regular meeting, Denise, do we have anybody that's here to speak on anything that's not on the agenda?
We don't have anyone here to speak on anything that is not on the agenda, but I do want to notify you that PC3, PDD 217522 will be pulled from consent. So we do have 6 folks to speak at the kiosk,
Okay.
and we do have someone to speak on WebEx as well on that item.
All right, so that's PC3. So Denise, are we ready to start with the continuance requests?
We're ready.
Okay,
So I'm going to start at PC1, PDD 217528, in the name of Steven Siller, Tunnel to Tower, Parkway Boulevard. It's for change in zoning from an original PUD plan unit development to an R4 high-density residential district. The request is from the applicant to continue the item to the April 22nd, 2021 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
okay. Is the applicant present?
The applicant is virtually present.
Okay. Anyone here to object to the continuance?
We have no one here to object on the continuance, nor have we received any letters in opposition to the continuance request.
Okay, and does the applicant have any objection? to
The applicant
continuance?
requested the continuance to April 22nd.
Great. So do I have a motion, please?
Move to continue to April 22nd. Chris Williams.
Second, Chris Poole.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by roll call.
You don't have to do a roll call because you have every single planning commission member here present with you.
Oh, great.
So you could just do a vote. And
Awesome.
is that correct, David?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Item PC2 is PDD 217516 for Kitty Campus University, Inc. for a change in zoning from AR1 Agricultural Residential District to a C2 General Commercial District. It's a request from the applicant to continue the item to the April 22nd, 2021 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
Okay. And is the applicant present?
The applicant is virtually present.
Anyone here to object?
We have no one that signed up to object on the item, the actual continuance request for the item, nor do we have a letter in opposition to the continuance request.
Okay, great. So, do I have a motion to approve the continuance?
Jamie Girardi, so moved.
Have a second?
Second, Chris Williams.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Following item is PC4, PDD 217523, in the names of Robert and Teresa Britton for a change in zoning from AC Agricultural District to AR Agricultural Residential District with a voluntarily agreed upon deed restriction that limits the property to a total of 2 lots. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval.
Okay, and then is the applicant present?
The applicant is virtually present.
Anyone here to object?
We have no one at the kiosk that signed up to speak on the item, nor have we received any emails or letters of objection on this item.
Okay. Next consent item?
Next item is PC5, PDD 210250. This is a development agreement, so on this item, you're sitting as a local planning agency. It's under the name of Meritage Homes of Florida, Inc. Development agreement to provide a drainage retention area in exchange for mobility fee credits and a partial waiver of neighborhood park and landscape buffer requirements. Comes to you with a recommendation of, for you to find it consistent with the comprehensive plan and for you to recommend approval of the proposed development agreement to the Board of County Commissioners.
All right. And the applicant present?
The applicant is virtually present.
All right. Is there any objectors?
We have not received any emails in objection nor requests to speak in objection on this item, nor is there anyone at the public comment kiosk to speak on the item.
Okay, so do we have any questions from up here? No? All right, let's see, is there?
And
the
that
last consent
concludes
item?
your consent agenda.
Okay. So we have, what, 2 items on consent?
PC4 and PC5.
Yes, you should have you have PC4 and PC5
All right.
on consent.
So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Jamie Girardi, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Consisting of items PC4 and PC5.
Okay, and we have a second. Any further
Second,
dis-
Chris Poole.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Let me share
All
my
right,
screen.
motion carried.
Allow me to share.
And-
Okay, now we're going to move on to item PC3.
Yes. Okay, PC3.
Good afternoon, this is Christina Foster with Planning and Development. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so agenda item PC3 is going to be PDD 21-7522 in the name of Amber Thomas. It's a special exception request for a home-based nail artist in an R3 residential district, medium density. It's located on the north side of Carr Drive, approximately 280 feet east of Farms Drive, Zephyr Hills. The subject site contains a single-family dwelling and a shed on approximately 0.22 acres. On December 16, 2020, the property owner received an ordinance violation notice for a permitted use violation. The applicant is requesting a special exception to allow the home-based nail artist in an R3 medium-density residential district. Minor home occupations are permitted accessory uses in R3 districts, and the trip generation associated with this occupation requires special exception approval. And so here's just a look at the surrounding zoning. It's R3 to the north, south, east, and west. And the future land use of the site is Res 6. And then just one last slide showing the aerial and the access on Carr Drive. And associated with approval, a recommendation of approval with conditions, and I have some of the conditions listed on the next slide. So the special exception approval would be limited to just this site, 0.22 acres as submitted with the application. All business-related visits would be by appointment only and would be limited to one customer at any given time. And exterior signs that would be visible from the street or neighboring dwellings that would be associated with this home occupation would be prohibited.
Okay.
The approval of the special exception would not run with the land and would not be transferred to another owner or lessee of the property, and the applicant would be required to maintain all required county and state health permits, licenses, and certificates. And then the last condition we have is just the standard one, where if they were in any way violating any of the conditions of this approval, that it could be revoked.
All right, thank
So
you.
that is the end of the presentation. I'm here for any questions.
All right, do we have any questions?
I do, actually, Mr. Chairman, a
Yeah.
couple of questions. Christina, what's the anticipated trip generation, or, it appears the business was in operation before this? I mean, what was the nature of the trip generation to the business, number one? Number two, is there hours of operation that would be considered as part of this too?
We could add as a condition hours of operation, if that would be better, and we could talk to the applicant about how many people she could see in a day. I know that in previous conversations with her, she said that the kind of nail art that she does takes between 2 and 3 hours per person, so
Oh.
she can't really handle the kind of volume that, would create a lot of trip generation. She's thinking between 3 and 4 cars a day maximum, and it's really just something that she's doing in her free time. So I know she's on the line, and she has a little presentation that she wants to give to you to kind of explain what it is that she's doing and what you could expect if this were approved.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
They pertain to traffic. Is this a street that you can park on?
So it is my understanding that they are not permitted to park on the street at all in this neighborhood.
My question then leads to the question, well, if there's a backup, in other words, client A is there and still there, would client B arrives, where will client B park her or his car?
Okay, so the way we have it written up, she would not be permitted to have someone in waiting. She's only to have one client at a time. I think sometimes when we approve these special exceptions, we allow one customer to be in waiting. But because there was some opposition in the neighborhood, I checked with her and made sure that would be okay, that it would just be one person at a time with no one in waiting. So that she understands that she would have to stagger her appointments just in case one of them ran over, that she wouldn't have someone waiting in the wings. Because I know the traffic was an issue. Because this was a code violation, we had an officer from our code enforcement department. He's been out there numerous times, and he said that even when he observed the use violation, there were never more than 2 cars in the drive.
to.
All right, thank you very much, Christina. Anything else? If not, would the applicant like to speak?
Ms. Thomas?
Oh, sorry, I had to unmute my microphone, sorry about that.
No problem. Ms. Thomas, I need for you to state your name and address for the record, and then the clerk will swear you in.
Amber Thomas, 38921, Card Drive, Zephyr Hills, 33540.
And if you could raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
My presentation?
Yes, go ahead, go right ahead.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I had this lengthy thing written out, and I just want to say that I'm semi-retired, and I'm just doing this as a hobby, and the code enforcement officer said I have to make this a business, and I can't do it as a hobby. You guys don't recognize hobbies because of the trip generation. So I think I don't want to cause my neighbors any distress. I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I only want to do a minimum amount of people to keep my skills up. I have other irons in the fire. I'm not a commercial nail salon. I have a nail desk in my dining room. I have off-street parking. I don't generate nearly the traffic my neighbors do, and the Christmas light show does, and the Halloween light show does. I'm a specialist nail artist. I don't do pedicures. I don't do any beauty treatments. I design on nails with gems and shellac and drawing and art. And I'm so conscious of not wanting to disturb my neighbors that I'm happy to go along with whatever it takes during this COVID period to get me through until I decide what I'm actually going to do. I prefer to keep it a hobby, but if it's got to be a business, then, it has to be a business. I play by the rules. I guess that's all I really want to say. I don't want to inconvenience anybody.
Okay, well, I think we have some people there with questions that want to speak, and you'll have an opportunity to respond to those questions, so you might want to just make some notes. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming, and we'll get back to you as soon as the other people have a chance to speak.
Okay, so we're going to go to the kiosk now, and do you want to swear everyone in at the same time, and then they'll just state their name and address for the record as they come up? Okay, let's do that, please.
Okay, if everybody at the kiosk could please raise their right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And for those at the kiosk, as you come up and you provide testimony, would you please state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Hi,
Also,
My name-
welcome. Just so you'll know, what we try to do is to not cover the same ground too many times. So if you're going to bring up a particular topic and speak to it thoroughly, the next person would like to cover something else. So
Okay.
Go ahead and start.
my name is Joe Handley. I live at 38920 Car Drive, which is directly across the street from Ms. Thomas's house. It may not be this way in the future, but in the past, we have seen cars parked in the street. In fact, I almost backed into one backing out of my driveway one day, parked in the street. I have seen as many as 3 and 5 cars at a time over there. That is to the best of my knowledge, memory. It may have been 4 or 5, it might have been 3 or 5. It's going to affect our property values. My wife and I bought our home a little over 4 years ago. It's going to be our retirement home. We plan on dying in that house. And this, by 2 realtors we've talked to, will affect our values and our property. And one of the other big concerns is the traffic issue in the neighborhood. any business such as Ms. Thomas is in, which again, we don't want to cause distress to our neighbors and anguished over whether to even be in on this today, but I feel we have a responsibility. Nail salons, in my understanding, are just like haircuts and any other beauty parlor. Their busiest days are usually Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is also the days our children are out of school. This is the days that the families who do work are home trying to enjoy the sanctity of their home. This is going to be the heaviest traffic days. We don't want that. It's just, we submitted a petition, which I think Christina has, that there's roughly 90 homes in our phase 1, 2, and 3. Of the 90 homes, I believe that there's 65 signatures in that 90 homes opposing. When we took the petitions around, we eliminated, there's 4 rental houses, I'm positive they were eliminated. 1 house is on lockdown from COVID. Obviously, I didn't get their signature. The rest of the people who were not home. But of the ones that we found and got to, I think there's around 60, 65 signatures out of 90 residences. That's a pretty good percentage that don't want this. Really, that's about all I got to say. I don't want to cause grief to my neighbor, but this has been going on for 8 months and it has not been pleasant when it was illegal, much like what it'll be in the future. So that's really all I have to say.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming, and we'll hear the next person.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Christine Smith. I live across the street from Amber Thomas. I'm at 38922 Car Drive. My concern with this is the parking. I'm not sure if you can see, but I have actually a photo of Amber, the front of her house. There's really not much parking for her clients. And we all know at salons, they run behind. They just do. You get talking, you add extra stuff to nails. Clients can even run late, pushes her whole day behind. Also on her Facebook, she has 16,000 followers. So, I mean, she does have a lot of clientele. She, in her home, I don't know if you can see these photos, she has rooms set up, couches. She has table, chairs.
You have to hold them up a little bit higher.
Oh, I'm sorry. For overflow. Okay, this is section 4 overflow to sit. Here is another one. She's got her, I guess, where she does nails, and then across we have a table with 2 chairs, and it is for overflow. We all know that it's going to happen. Commissioners, you guys won't be there all the time. You know, if this happens. Also, I wanted to show you, it's a residential area, and I have photos of our roads. They're not made for commercial. They're broken already as it is. We have potholes, and there's only one way to get in and out of our neighborhood. And if you can see these photos that I've provided, they have, the county's coming in and fixing them, you know, as much as they can. So we don't have, you know, our roads aren't designed for this. And with 16,000, you know, followers, she should have a commercial location. Honestly, this is where our kids play. They ride their bikes on the sidewalks. They do go in the roads as well. The car backing up, you know, extra, we don't need any extra in our neighborhood. And that's really odd. When she was parked in the road, when I was backing up, I almost hit a car as well. So this is where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is Russ Smith. I also live across the street at 38922 Car. My concern is that this variance would fundamentally change the dynamics of our neighborhood. We would have extra traffic. We would have extra parking. There was at one time I counted when her home was completely full in front of her house, and there was 2 cars in the street. There were several cars, and they were in the way. One, as my son was backing out on his way to his part-time job, honked at him because he was getting close to the car that was parking in the road. So, one of my other fears is that a variance of this sort would open up the door to other variances. You know, perhaps an automobile shop, you know, childcare. And those are my concerns without being redundant on the other 2 that have been here. Those are my concerns.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak?
Yes, my name is Ron Story. I live at 7641 Tessa Drive. I've lived in the neighborhood for 20 years. It's a residential area. My kids have been born and grown up there. And I'm worried about all the chemicals that this lady uses. Where's she dumping them all? You know, are they going into the toilet? Is she disposing them, you know, like regular commercial businesses do? You know, that's a big environmental impact that could happen on our water supply. And all of a sudden, also, that there's needles showing up, you know, down in that area. You know, what's going on with all that? Is she using needles to do fine tuning on, you know, with her nail stuff? We don't know. But there's a lot of problems going on down there, and we don't want this in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, just one question. Do you have well water there, or are you on?
Yes, sir. We have well water.
Okay, thank you.
No, we have well water. Yeah, we've got septic, and we have septic tanks.
Okay, I was concerned about the water, that's all.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, who would like to speak next?
She's coming.
Okay,
Good afternoon. My name is Diantha Squirth. I live at 38924 Carr Drive. And we were the first residents in Lakeville Mills. And when it was just a drive from Arms Drive, it was gravel. We've seen each and every home developed and built beautifully. And one of the reasons they sold so fast is because of it being residential, and everyone felt safe and secure. And if I don't blame anybody making a buck here and there, because hard times is hard times, but when it affects our neighborhood and the future, I'm objecting to this because we do have a beautiful community with beautiful people in it. And God bless each and every one of them. Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
That's all it for the kiosk.
Thank you very much. All right, so would the applicant like to respond?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Whoops. Everyone keeps calling it a salon. It's not a commercial salon. I'm sitting at one desk doing nails by myself. The overflow seating that they showed you pictures of is a love seat that is in my kitchen. And the table next to my desk is actually my dining room table, so I'm not sure where they think that's overflow. I have nearly 15,000 followers on Facebook and 1,000 on other social media outlets, but they're from all over the world. They aren't local. I would say less than 5% of my followers are local. I'm big into nail art. I'm a master nail art. I just have a following because I do tutorials. I do things online. It's not my actual clients. I actually let my clients go when I let my salon go back in August. The way, first of all, we have city water in this neighborhood. I didn't know anybody wasn't on city water. How nail techs dispose of chemicals that we use. The only chemical I actually use, is alcohol and acetone, what you would find in a normal house to remove nail polish. And how that's disposed of is it evaporates really quickly, and what even is on the paper towel that I dispose of evaporates before it even hits the trash can. But if there is a spillage or an overage, we dump it into a container with paper towels and we let that evaporate before it goes in the trash. I've never had to do it as of yet. I definitely do not have any needles of any sort. It's not part of the nail industry. I don't think, it doesn't sound like my neighbors know that this area is already zoned for both small and large home occupations. I don't feel like I'm bringing anything commercial into the area. And the one instance they're talking about where he saw so many people parking, I've done I've hosted Pampered Chef parties for friends. I do barbecues, I have Christmas parties. I had people over for my son just got married. I feel like whenever there is anybody at my home, they're taking it as customers, like I don't have a right to have anybody at my house, period. And as for parking on the street, well, it's done all over the neighborhood with multiple cars. But my people, I make sure my driveway is free. They don't even have to park on the road. It is a non-issue as far as I'm concerned. And I'm really sorry there's so many of my neighbors. I wish they would have come talk to me. This probably could have been handled differently. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Dave?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for staff, for Christina.
Yes, David.
So the applicant stated that there were other home occupations exceptions approved in this area. Is that accurate? I know the agenda mentioned some other ones, but I'm not sure if those.
We don't have any approved special exceptions in that neighborhood, no. There may be people operating a business or operating a business great trips. I believe one of the examples I was given was that someone was making cabinets in their garage, but not bringing people to the house for purchasing. So because it doesn't generate a trip, they're not required to have a special exception.
Okay. So just to confirm, the county approved any home special exceptions in this neighborhood previously, correct?
That's correct. There are no approved special exceptions in this neighborhood.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, there are no other questions. Here, what's the?
I have one question for Ms. Thomas. I know this has already been asked once, but just from you directly, what are you looking at as far as customers on a daily basis? I mean, is that 2, 4, 6? I mean, what's an average day customer wise?
I can have my average customer day, whatever you guys deem it, because I didn't bring my customers with me from the salon. I'm starting all over. I was doing this as a hobby until the code enforcement officer came. So I didn't bring my clients with me. So this is starting all over again, but I don't want a full busy day. I'm happy to agree to the 3 people. I mean, it's going to take me time to build clientele again.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Thomas, when do you typically see your clients? Is there specific days? Is it weekend based, like the folks who provided comments said, or is it spread out through the week, or when does that typically happen?
Well, when I had the salon, it was 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Sure. But what do you anticipate in your home occupation?
I guess I haven't given it much thought. I mean, I don't have anybody on the books and making appointments at the moment. Most of the people who are around me are at work early. So I'm happy to do it early and be over by the time they get home from work.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Okay.
Sorry.
So, Mr. Chair, just to be clear, the existing conditions do not have a cap on the number of clients, do not have hours of operation. So if those are factors that are important to the Planning Commission, you would need to add those as conditions.
All right. Thank you, David.
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty with this, honestly, and I think it was alluded to both by the applicant and some of the people that spoke against it. I mean, it's obviously a residential neighborhood. I'm stating things that are obvious, but residential neighborhood. But look at just the pictures that are online. People park on the street, not just at this lady's house. This condition of approval does restrict one customer at a time, so the parking will be in the driveway. I mean, people have parties, people have people over, so I mean, there are times when you do exceed what you can fit just in your driveway. And I mean, I tend to agree with the applicant that she sometimes is targeted as having customers there when in fact they're not customers at all. I mean, we've limited to one customer at a time. I mean, personally, I'm fine with this as long as, I mean, if we want to limit it to a certain number of customers or certain business hours, but I personally don't see where this creates the problem that's being indicated by the people that are here to speak against it.
Well, I think that, I think the applicant said that she was doing it as a hobby, not as a moneymaker. That was her original intent. So, I think it would be appropriate in that case then. She's only doing this because the county is insisting that she complies, and that's appropriate. So, I think it's also then appropriate to put limitations on her hours and also on the number of people that she can service. That's my feeling. Probably, certainly no more than 3 in any one day. And if it takes 2 hours to do one client, that's a 6-hour day, and that's a pretty strong hobby if you have 3 people. So I would say 2 to 3 people would keep her skills intact until she can build up her practice again and move to her appropriate retail area. Any other comments? Okay, so anyway, those are my feelings. I can't make a motion, but I'm leaving it up to one of you to make a motion.
I guess in regards to the hours of operation, I mean, Ms. Thomas, what are fair hours of operation? I mean, if it's limited to, I mean, is it 8 to 6 business? Is it a evening business?
I definitely didn't want to make it evening because that's when my neighborhood is most active. People are out walking, they're outside talking, visiting, and they have a lot of cars themselves at that time. So I was definitely thinking early morning into the afternoon before people got home.
So if we restricted it from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock,
That's
acceptable?
Fine. Yes, fine. The only problem I would have is I'm being made to be a business, so I've got to have a certain amount of customers to now make the business expenses. That if I get limited to my days, people try to come to me on their days off and they all vary. So some days I do nobody. Some weeks I do nobody. It's not the way it's being pictured. I need some flexibility about the days that I can be open. The hours fine, that, people can come during 8 to 5 on days off, but limiting the actual days a week, that I would struggle with that. I don't know if I can say it or not, but I would struggle with that.
Well, for me, I think it's not necessarily the days that need to be limited. I'm going right back to what you said initially, is you were doing it as a hobby. Now you're talking about covering your expenses. So, which is it? Is it a business or is it your hobby that you're trying to get approved?
I was told I couldn't have a hobby, that it had to be a business. So I have been putting steps forward to make that happen. They told me I had to get a business tax receipt. I'm told that I have to make it a business, so that's what I've started doing. Is that wrong?
Well, it depends on your on person's point of view. Obviously, your neighbor. I think, I'm more sympathetic to you being able to pursue your hobby and keep your skills than I am to you opening a traditional business in your neighborhood. So, I would be opposed to that. But I'm not opposed to trying to accommodate your hobby. So that's
Mr. Chair, can I ask Ms. Thomas a question that may clarify this?
Sure,
Are
Dave.
you charging your clients to come over for this service?
No, I can't. It's doing it as a hobby. Through the IRS, the only thing I could charge is for my materials.
Okay, so they do pay you something, but it's to reimburse you for, is that what you're saying?
They used to, not since I had this proposed person came over and said I couldn't have the hobby.
But your intent in the future is to charge customers.
Yes, because I'm being told I have to have a business. I mean, if I could go on and just do what I'm doing and have a hobby. But if it's a hobby, I shouldn't have to have restrictions on what I do if it's just a hobby.
Well, I think the issue may be that it is generating external trips into the neighborhood, even your hobby. I think that's why code enforcement cited you.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, the way I look at it is if you have a guy next to you that's building golf carts and he's selling them and bringing people in to look at them, you might not appreciate that, even if he considers that his hobby. So all I'm saying is that, I don't want to stop you from doing your hobby, but I think it's obvious that your neighbors feel it's an imposition on them for you to be operating a full-fledged business there. And I think you're splitting hairs when you're saying the county's forcing you to do a business. I don't think they are.
They've made me get a business receipt to make it a business, what I do.
All right, well, anyway, anybody have any other suggestions or questions? All right, any further discussion? So let's make a motion so we can get some discussion if there is going to be any on the motion.
This is Jamie Girardi. I'll make a motion for approval with some amendments to the conditions. Recommended condition of approval number 2 says all business-related visits shall be by appointment only and shall be limited to one customer at a given time. I think we need to add language in there that restricts or prohibits on-street parking and limits the customers to no more than 3 customers per day. And I think we also need to add a condition that restricts the hours to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week.
Okay, so I'm asking the applicant, do you have any objection to those suggestions? Okay, so no response.
Oh, sorry, it wouldn't let me unmute. I think that's absolutely fine.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second to the motion.
I'll second that. Chris Poole.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those who are not in agreement signify by nay.
No.
Nay.
Chairman, I didn't vote. This is not an item I would vote on.
So we have a 2-2 tie.
Who's the tiebreaker?
You have to?
Actually, Chris Williams is the tiebreaker if there is a tie.
All right, Chris.
I'll vote
But
aye.
Mr. Chair, before we do that, can we just do it by roll call, because just to be clear, on the vote?
Sure. Absolutely. All right, so, call the roll, please.
Jamie Girardi,
Aye.
Peter Hansel, Christopher Poole,
Aye.
Chris Williams,
Aye.
and Chairman Charles Gray.
Nay. Okay, so the motion passes.
I'd just like to remind the public that the Planning Commission's approval of the special exception is appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. And you can Hernandez to determine the process to do that.
Thank you, David. Okay, let's see, we're on to PC 5, is that right? PC 6. Yep. PC 6.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Notarios Pitos, Planning and Development Department. Item PC6 is the PDD 210316 Temporary Moratorium Ordinance. Next slide. This is a proposed ordinance for a temporary moratorium. I'll go ahead and read that title. An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners establishing a temporary moratorium, 180 days, on the submission and acceptance of applications for conditional uses, rezonings, and comprehensive plan amendments, proposing to increase multifamily entitlements within the moratorium area, providing for authority, legislative findings of fact, definitions, moratorium area, temporary moratorium imposed, duration of temporary moratorium, and severability. The background to this project is that there is a potential of oversaturation of multifamily dwelling units within a certain area of Pasco County. And the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners heard this on February 9th and directed the staff to draft a temporary moratorium on the submission and acceptance of those applications for conditional uses, rezonings, and comprehensive plan amendments that are proposing to increase entitlements for multifamily within the moratorium area. The Board of County Commissioners requested the temporary moratorium to provide time for the Planning and Development Department so that we can go and accurately calculate and determine the true potential for the oversaturation of multifamily dwelling units within the moratorium area. Next slide. On March 9th Board of County Commissioners hearing, the BCC confirmed the proposed boundary and directed the Planning and Development Department to conduct the subsequent public hearings on this proposed ordinance for the temporary moratorium. So the temporary moratorium itself will enable PDD to research the following within the moratorium area. We'll be looking at the current quantity of multifamily dwelling units and entitlements, the current acreage of land zoned for multifamily dwelling unit uses, including that acreage having the potential for multifamily dwelling units upon approval of a conditional use, as well as the potential number of multifamily dwelling units available through existing land use equivalency matrices. These are the mechanisms typically found within MPUDs, master plan unit developments. On the overhead, you'll see the moratorium area. This moratorium is not a countywide it's not an ordinance proposing a moratorium countywide. It's only for specific geography within Pasco County, generally between State Road 52 on the north end, US 41 on the west, State Road 54 on the south, and then Bruce B. Downs up to about Overpass Road, and then if you go west a little bit, you'll get to Old Pasco Road. There, at that point, you see that the boundary sort of zigzags. It's zigzagging along the Commission District boundaries between Commission District 2 and Commission District 1. So that's the moratorium area, and so this ordinance would apply within that pink zone on the overhead. Today's recommendation is to find the proposed ordinance consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan and recommend approval of the ordinance to the Board of County Commissioners. The first reading of this ordinance is proposed for April 20th at 1:30 p.m. in Newport Richey, with a potential adoption hearing taking place on May 4, 2021 at 3 p.m. here in the Dade City Historic County Courthouse.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, any questions?
So Terry, would the moratorium go into effect on May 4th? Is that when it would officially go into effect, or does it need to be?
Yeah, the moratorium would take effect on the first public hearing in this process, which would actually be today. So it'd be retroactive to April 1st.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
I have one quick question. During this moratorium, would there be, by staff of Pasco County or contracted to maybe go out and do a survey of the number of apartments that are in play and their some type of information on whether or not they're efficiently, let me rephrase that. If there's sufficient documentation to see how many were vacant, or if there's a vacancy requirement or information as to vacancy, and the number, compare that to the number that are found out there that are developed in this area that their moratorium is going to impact on.
Right.
I don't know if that was.
Yeah, I think I understand.
That could be done.
We're not going to check the vacancy rate of apartment complexes, but we will go out and see what kind of entitlements are existing within the moratorium area. How many of those entitlements have actually been used, right? Because some of the zoning districts or the MPDs, they will establish a maximum or an upper limit, but developments rarely go all the way to the max. They'll find an actual. So we'll go out and look for the actuals, what was actually built, and then what could potentially come about in the future. But a vacancy analysis was not part of the board direction, and we're not going to do that.
All right.
I guess, Terry, just for clarification, I'm confused on this. I'm probably on me, but the effective date of this ordinance is today, or is the adoption by the board?
It would be adopted by the board on May the 4th, but the ordinance would retroactively set the moratorium period to April 1st.
So we're looking at April 1, October 30, or whenever that.
Sure that's what this ordinance says, is it?
Right. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Make sure hard for somebody to
Let me open the ordinance.
I'm just looking at the actual ordinance in section 8. It just looks like it says the ordinance shall take effect upon confirmation by the Department of State.
Right.
I mean, there's a
Section
duration of the
6.
moratorium too, that's 180 days from today.
Right, so section 6 is what establishes. It says the duration of this temporary moratorium shall be 180 days from April 1st, 2021, which is today, until such time as repealed by the county, whichever occurs first, may be extended by resolution, etc. And so if the board adopts this proposed ordinance on May 4, you will be essentially, at that point, you'll be essentially 30 plus days, 33 plus days into the moratorium period.
Right.
So, Mr. Girardi, another way of saying it is, even though the ordinance may take effect on May 4th, it's retroactive to today. The board can make an ordinance retroactive if they want to.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I just didn't know if somebody between
And
now
to be clear, I believe it only applies to applications filed after today. And if you had your application in yesterday, I don't believe the moratorium would apply to you. Is that correct, Mr. Pitos?
Yes, yesterday was March 31st, so.
Okay.
Right, and also remember that this is about new applications on conditional uses, rezonings, comprehensive plan amendments. So if there's an entitlement that's already in place, that's a different.
Yeah, section 8 was just
aspect.
confusing me, so thanks for clearing it up.
All right. Is there anyone else to speak, Denise?
So this is David.
Yes, we do have
Wilson.
people to speak. Sorry. Go ahead,
I
David.
just want
Sorry.
to make one comment before we get public comment. I just want to remind the planning commission that on this item, you're acting as the local planning agency and your duty is to find the ordinance either consistent or inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The reason I bring this particular ordinance is because one could argue that a temporary moratorium doesn't implicate the comprehensive plan at all because it's temporary. In other words, there's a big difference between this item and the next item because this is not a permanent change to the development code. It's really just a temporary pause, and your comp plan is really looking at future land use. So I'm because one could argue that any moratorium really doesn't implicate the comprehensive plan at all. So, but your public comment.
All right, thanks, David. Anything?
Yes, so we do have Mr. Eric Garduno, who has signed up to speak on this item.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Go right ahead.
My name is, thank you.
Mr. Garduno, if you would provide your name and address for the record and wait so the clerk can swear you in.
Sure thing. Eric Garduno with the Bay Area Apartment Association. Our address is P.O. Box 151958 Tampa, zip code 33684.
And if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, go
And
ahead.
good afternoon. Oh, sorry about that. Good afternoon, Pasco County Planning Commission. Really appreciate this opportunity to share a few thoughts regarding this proposed ordinance. Point taken that this is a temporary ordinance, but underlying the temporary ordinance is an objective to discourage the growth of apartment communities in our county. The apartment communities are a key ingredient to the future success of the county. Their development should be encouraged, not discouraged. Let me just share a couple of important stats to keep in mind. Going to the question that was raised earlier, the latest information I have regarding vacancy rates for apartment communities in Pasco County is 6.1%, which is really, really low. I'll also note that there are just under 15,000 apartment units across the whole county. By comparison, Hillsborough County has 133,000. That is 11 people for every apartment in Hillsborough and 36 people for every apartment in Pasco County. Nationally, 45% of rental households are in apartment communities of 5 or more units. Only 25% of renters in Pasco County are in apartment communities. As was presented in the market survey from the February BOCC meeting, the county will need close to 1,700 new apartment units every year. 1,100 of those are in the Class A category for apartments. This demand is fueled by young professionals and empty nesters, both of whom want amenities and services in and around their communities. Apartments are a key economic driver for the county. They themselves are employers. This includes on-site teams as well as a whole host of contractors who maintain and fix appliances and amenities throughout apartment communities. More importantly, I think, for your consideration, they provide the rooftops for commercial investment. You need rooftops to support retail. You need rooftops to attract major employers. Apartment communities get you those rooftops in a small footprint that furthers the comp plan. The comp plan objectives around reducing sprawl, reducing environmental impacts, and maximizing efficient use of infrastructure. Putting limitations on the development of new apartment communities like that under consideration here will make it harder for the county to achieve a number of the objectives laid out in the comprehensive plan. We ask that you find this ordinance inconsistent with the comp plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else, Denise?
There are some folks that are still on the WebEx, so perhaps they want to speak. Mr. Tu or Ms. Wilhite?
Chairman, can you hear me?
Very low, Joel.
Okay, is that better?
No.
No.
No. No.
So you'll have to scream, Joel.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I'll try.
No, it's perfect now. You're coming
thank you.
across.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, very briefly on this, I've spoken before to the point of the
Joel,
prior.
we all know you really well, but would you please state your name and address for the record and have the clerk swear you in, please?
Joel to an Associates, Palm Harbor. I'm not sure that swearing in is required on an
Yeah,
ordinance matter,
yeah,
but I'm happy to do it.
It's not required on this. It's a legislative matter. He doesn't have to swear in.
Thank you, David.
But I promise to tell you what I believe is the truth. This moratorium, in my judgment, is directly inconsistent with your comprehensive plan, and I urge you to find that and not recommend it for approval. It is directly inconsistent with virtually all of the South Market area policies, which not only promote but require high-density residential development, mixed-use areas, multifamily to support employment generation and transportation oriented development in this corridor. So it is directly inconsistent. I also believe that anytime you're imposing a moratorium before you even conduct your study or your analysis, I believe that's intellectually dishonest because it presumes the result or the outcome that you're looking for. It is also contrary to the qualified evidence that already has been presented over the past year. This ordinance presumes that no study has been done, when in fact, the Planning and Development Department staff over a 12-month period, 3 or 4 times, has done a study, reported to the Board of County Commissioners and or to you, and they concluded that there in fact is not a sufficient supply of multifamily in that corridor, that there's nowhere near saturation, that there is a strong market demand. They keep telling the county commission this. Someone is ignoring the facts. They don't like the answers. So now they want to get the end result by moratorium while somebody tries to cook the books. I referred you last meeting to a independent market consultant study that established, as the prior speaker said, that you're at almost 95% occupancy. You have a demand for over 6,000 Class A apartments over the next 5 years, and that is taking into consideration all the existing apartments and the projects coming online now. So here at the peak of unprecedented housing demand, market demand in this country, unprecedented housing inventory shortage in this country, unprecedented number of young professionals and empty nesters and retirees who are wanting apartments and the high-end lifestyle that the current product provides. It is simply a bad message to send to business. Business and industry will ask, what is the next target? Is that my business? We may as well change the name of Pasco County to Hillsborough County North if we're going to start imposing moratoriums at the height of a market boom, when we should be doing exactly the opposite. We should be providing incentives to get product there, to get affordable housing, to get apartment options for those who want to live in Pasco County. And this whole concept is simply ill-designed to apply to one commission district for purely political reasons that have nothing to do with the comprehensive plan, that have nothing to do with market data, have nothing to do with market demand. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else to speak? Denise?
Why don't we poll the folks who are still on? The Ms. Wilhite, would you like to speak on this item? Then that's all we have for this item.
All right. Terry, do you have anything you'd like to respond to?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
I just wondered if you had anything you'd like to respond to with regard to the comments from the public.
I don't have anything further to add more than what I've already presented.
Thank you, Jerry. All right. Questions?
Yes, sir. So I guess my question is, so what, let's say there's a 6-month moratorium. what happens after that? Is there a
So,
proposed
so,
change? What happens?
so that would depend on the results of the analysis, Mr. Williams. The whole purpose of the moratorium is to first to get more data on this geographic area to see whether there is what's entitled in the area, to see if there is an oversaturation or not. If conclude there's not an oversaturation, as Mr. Tu believes will be the case, then result in any change to the land development code. If there is an oversaturation, then it would be up to the Board of County Commissioners to direct staff what to do with that potential oversaturation in terms of, you know, changing zoning, changing the comp plan, changing whatever to deal with it. But I think it'd be impossible for Mr. Pitos or anybody to predict what would result in the moratorium until they get the data that they've been asked to provide.
Yeah, David, I guess my thinking is that they're saying that this multifamily development is moving so rapidly that in order to make sure we have our arms around it and that we have the right regulations and the support that we're going to need for that, they need some time to review it and make sure they have the proper protocols in place. I think that would be that's basically what we're trying to do, and it's one area right now.
So I do want to respond to one more thing that Mr. Tu said, which is it is true that Mr. Pitos has done some analysis of the family in the county. However, when the board specifically asked how many multifamily units are entitled in this geographic area, the planning department was able to answer that question with any level of accuracy. And that was the reason, that was the impetus for the moratorium request. And with all due defense to Mr. Pitos, that's partially because a lot of multifamily is kind of hidden. And we'll kind of take this up in the next item as well. But for example, you can have property that's zoned C2, but yet you can get multifamily through a conditional use, or you have property that has a land use equivalency matrix that allows them to convert certain entitlements to multifamily, and that's not always obvious. So it is something that does take staff time to do an accurate and complete evaluation of the number of entitlements out there. Mr. Pitos, and you can tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I would concur with Mr. Goldstein, and I would just add too that the moratorium applies within the moratorium area that we showed on the map, and a good chunk of that area is the central market area. Right. A lot of our previous work has been focused on South Market area, so there is a little bit of a geographic distinction between what we've done in the past and what's being asked now.
All right, Terry, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, if we're not including vacancies in the analysis, how do we determine oversaturation?
It's a determination based on the number of actual entitlements, what's been built out there today, and what could potentially be built. That's the other part of the analysis.
I'm having trouble correlating the number of units. I mean, say you come back with 20,000, is that some opinion of the planning staff, whether that's more than you need, or is that there's some rationale behind that?
In terms of making a determination that says we have enough multifamily, or
I mean, demand. There's over. I mean, I think what David indicated was that your analysis was going to determine if the multifamily market was oversaturated or not, and I just didn't understand. I was having trouble comprehending how you're going to determine oversaturation. You don't know. I mean, every place requires a different number of units, depending on the population and the demographics of the area.
It's also a community determination on when and where certain land uses can occur. So I think that's a piece of information that we're currently missing. Where this goes is based on the direction of the Board of County Commissioners at the end of the moratorium period once we have the data available. So it would be premature to come to a conclusion at this hearing on that.
I think, based on listening to the board workshop on the 9th, what struck me was kind of the disparity between the data that's available out there from industry to the data that Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Fitzpatrick provided to the data that you provided during that testimony. So, that struck me as an absolute reason to kind of hit the pause button and actually step back and look at that very issue. What also struck me is, really focused on kind of market rate apartments. I think Commissioner Starkey brought up and tried to drive home and I know that's not the focus of this moratorium, but I think workforce housing has to be a part of that, and the policies and the incentives to be able to kind of drive that and drive it to where we want that sort of growth. So that's an aside completely, but I have a young staffer that works for me, professional services firm. Thankfully, I'm able to pay him enough where he was able to get one of those nice new shiny apartments right on the corner of right by the Wawa there, 54. So, I can't understate the joy of him having home ownership. So I think the renting is not what it used to be. There's not the stigma related to that there used to be for us wanting to own single family homes and like coming up. So I think that we need to get it right. The data's got to be right. And, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we get it right for future generations. So that's just my observation.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I add to that? Because Mr. Poole makes a good point. And I think when we get to a discussion of the permanent changes to the land development code that result once we have this data, then we can start having a dialogue about affordable housing, mixed use, the development, other factors that influence multifamily, and have some of that discussion for the next item, because that is, in fact, a permanent to the land development code. And so it is relevant. I just wanted to point out that there is a big difference between a permanent change to the development code, which is your next item, and this current item, which is really just a temporary pause to get more data.
Right.
Yeah, and I support personally, I support the pause to get more data. I do, but I also do see the relevance of considering vacancy factor, because I know from my perspective and being in that business, no developer goes in to develop an apartment project without knowing what the vacancy rates are. The vacancy rate are 15 or 20%. He's not going to build a new complex.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can make a recommendation, if the Planning Commission is inclined to find it consistent with the comp plan, but would like to see vacancy rates studied during the moratorium period, I think that's something you can include as part of your recommendation. Obviously, the board could accept or reject that, but if you wanted to make that part of your recommendation to the board, I think you could do that.
All right, David, thank you. Yeah, well, whoever makes the motion, I would hope that we would include that. So, do we have a motion?
I just need clarification on, are we looking at vacancy rates or?
We're looking at approving the moratorium they're requesting for 180 days for that particular area of the county.
Right.
And while they consider many factors in determining, how much and whether we need more multifamily development and on what basis we make those decisions.
Yeah,
and one of them that I think at least we need to know is a regular basis is
when
what's
I
the
asked a
vacancy.
question about vacancy rates, all I got back was an answer about we're going to look at entitlements. I concur. So here, we need more, this should have more information than entitlement rates.
So, yeah, that was my point, was that Mr. Pito answered the question accurately based on what the board directed staff to do. However, if Planning Commission wants, during the moratorium period, staff to also look at vacancy rates, you can make that recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, and they can take that recommendation in and then decide whether they want to instruct staff to do that.
Thank you, David. Okay. So that being said, if there's no further discussion, let's have a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve it with the addition of vacancy as a criteria for review under the moratorium, in addition to the, I think there's 4 specific criteria that are in the moratorium right now. Yeah, I'd like to see vacancy added to that as a study area.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Okay, I believe it's 1 nay. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so now we're going to item P7. And what I'd like to do today on item P7, which is PDD 210282, is to kind of continue the discussion that we had on February 4th. As you recall, the discussion that we had on February 4th, I explained the genesis of this proposed amendment, and we'll talk through it. On February 9th, the Board of County Commissioners directed the Planning and Development Department to bring forth a standalone modification to the Land Development Code to remove multiple family dwellings as a conditional use in the C2 district. During that time, and I'm sure you did watch the actual board minutes for that date, one of the concerns that the board had was that every conditional use that's coming in the C2 district for multiple family dwellings is basically a standalone multifamily request. It doesn't have a vertical integration of any other commercial uses. So to refresh your memory, the Land Development Code currently allows multiple family dwellings in MF1 district, MF2 district, and MF3 districts. And then also you can have multiple family dwellings through a master plan unit development district. So we brought this to the local planning agency the last time when we spoke about this. You stated that you had some concerns that there might be some unintended consequences to making the outright ban of multiple family dwellings as conditional uses in the C2. And you received some commentary on how this change could potentially affect proposed affordable housing applications, specifically in the West Market area. So to address these concerns that the local planning agency had at that time, we're proposing the following language. So this is an excerpt from the section 526, which is C2 general commercial districts, and the subsection 526.30 conditional uses. So the underline and bold language is new language. So basically, it allows multiple family dwellings through the conditional use process where the project complies with one or more of the following criteria. Affordable housing as defined in section 420.004 Florida statutes, or vertically integrated mixed use where there's ground floor commercial, office, or other non-residential uses, or located within the West Market area as defined in the comprehensive plan and as depicted in map 2-17 Market Area 1 West Market area of the comprehensive plan future land use element. So for reference, to go over those 3 points, subsection 125.01055 Florida statutes provides that, and I'm quoting from the statute, notwithstanding any other law or local ordinance to the contrary, the Board of County Commissioners may approve the development of housing that is affordable as defined in 420.0004 on any parcel zoned residential, commercial, or industrial. So keeping this as a conditional use allows, it would be allowed by right under that statute 125.01055. Keeping it as a conditional use in the C2 district allows us to place conditions that could mitigate any impacts. Additionally, conditional uses can be revoked pursuant to violations of any of the conditions of approval, and it's in 402.4.j of the Land Development Code. Some examples of some conditional uses in multifamily, or some conditions that we've imposed on conditional uses in multifamily, I'm sorry, in the C2 district, I apologize, include compliance with 522.4 development standards site design. Those are specifically for projects that are in the coastal high hazard area where we have to look at site design because of evacuation and different things of that matter. Additionally, there's one specific conditional use that I wanted to point out, which there was some opposition on. That was conditional use 18-38, where the adjacent property owner to the west had some concerns that when the vehicles that were going to the multifamily complex would park, they would shine the light on the adjacent parcels. So they agreed to place a minimum 6-foot high opaque wall. So that's one of the conditions, and that's one of the tools that we have in order to condition conditional uses.
Denise, before you move on to the next topic, you made one comment that I want to be clear about. The statute, in my opinion, doesn't say that you get affordable housing by right. It says the Board of County Commissioners may approve. So I don't think it's by right. However, I do agree with you that the proposed amendment you're requesting consistent with the statute because it defines the conditional use process as the method to obtain that discretionary approval of multifamily on a commercial parcel.
Thank you for the clarification, David. Thank you. So going on to the following topic regarding the vertical integration, most of the C2 general commercial district parcels that you see in the county either have a COM land use or an ROR land use. The comprehensive plan provides the following range of uses within COM. So to quote the comp plan, residential uses are only permitted when constructed in combination with commercial uses within a single building of 2 or more stories, wherein the first floor uses are commercial, office, and or other non-residential uses. So incorporating this vertical integration concept within the conditional use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Additionally, many of the existing C2 general commercial district parcels are located in the West Market area. As a matter of fact, I conducted a review of prior requests going back to 2015 of conditional uses that were requested for multifamily in the C2 district. From 2015 to 2020, those are all the projects that have gone through the system. And here's the map showing that. So we had 13 applications. 8 of those applications were in the West Market area. 4 of those applications were in the South Market area. I do have an asterisk on that because I wanted to comment that those 2 projects that you see that are on Land O'Lakes Boulevard, kind of like in the central part of the county, one of those projects was actually, or 2 of the projects were actually commercial and multifamily integrated into one another. One of the projects was a townhome project, and then they were going to also have a commercial brewery on the property. And then the other project was going to be duplexes or triplexes together with commercial as well. So that's why I put an asterisk on that, because it kind of like, it wasn't a standalone commercial, I'm sorry, multifamily project. One of those on the actual list is the one that is going through the process currently. So there hasn't been a decision by the Board of County Commissioners in the South Market area. But again, these are the percentages. Out of the 13 applications, 8 were in the West Market area, or 61.5%. 4 were in the South Market area, or 30.8%. And 1 was in the North Market area, or 7.7%. I do want to mention that one of the applications that was in the West Market area was denied. So, then that would make it 7 in the West Market area. And just to show you the map of the West Market area, so this is the map of the West Market area. The map on the left is map 2-17, which is in our comprehensive plan. The map on the right, I just kind of showed that to you because it's a little bit more blown up and easier to read, I think. And that's from the Harbors redevelopment area plan.
So can I make one more comment on the West Market area, Denise?
Yes.
And this change to the code came about probably about a year ago now, but if the planning commission will recall, the Board of County Commissioners recently raised mobility fees for most multifamily in the county. However, in the West Market area, they are trying to encourage redevelopment and infill and actually reduce the mobility fees for the West Market area. So I do believe that the exception that's being created for the West Market area is consistent with that prior direction and action by the Board of County Commissioners regarding mobility fees. So that was the other rationale for treating the West Market area differently.
So this is the this is going through the following process. The first reading will be on April 20th at 1:30 in Newport Richey. The adoption is scheduled for May 4th, 21 at 1:30 in Dade City. So we are requesting that you find the proposed ordinance as shown to you today, because I know there were some amendments, consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, and recommend approval of the ordinance to the Board of County Commissioners.
So Denise, I got a text from Barbara Wilhite saying she would like to speak to the matter. So I know you called for comment earlier. If you could call for it again, that'd be great.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Did you want to hear from Ms. Wilhite, or do you have questions?
No, I think anybody else have questions? Go ahead.
So if this were to go through, it doesn't preclude somebody though from coming into a piece and they would have a comp plan amendment and then a rezoning, or that's not the case, or
they'd have to do an MPUD, right?
Right. So outside of, I don't know if I want to talk about P6, but they could still apply for a rezoning to MF1, MF2, or MF3, or bring a proposed multifamily project through the MPUD process. And then the conditional use, as long as it's it complies with one or more of the following. So it's affordable housing within the West Market area, or vertically integrated.
But if there's and again, I'll understand all the workings of that, but let's say there's a piece that's zoned commercial and the future land use is commercial. Do they have to come in? Let's say they wanted to come in and do MF1 or MF2. Would they have to do a comp plan and then they have to do a rezoning, or?
I will defer that question to Terry. I believe that they would have to, because COM land use specifically states that residential uses are only permitted when constructed in combination with commercial uses. So if they were going to do a standalone multifamily, I don't believe it would be consistent with COM. It would probably be consistent with ROR, retail office residential, but not with COM.
What if they were going to do a mixed use?
Right.
And it wouldn't, my understanding. Right, Terry?
Yeah, I would concur with Denise. The distinction is a mixed-use building versus a mixed-use site. So the COM is requesting, if you're going to do multifamily under a COM flu, it's got to be above commercial, which means you're in a mixed-use
You'd have
building.
like a restaurant or a workout company or something like that. The next floor, all the next floors would be residential.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Is Barbara on the line?
Yes.
I am here.
Hey, Barbara, could you,
Hi, Commissioner.
did you have to be sworn on this one or no?
No. But state your name and address for the record.
Commissioners Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey. I'm not representing any particular project. There was a couple things I wanted to make sure, and I had commented to staff on this. One is that this doesn't apply to any pending conditional uses. Obviously not fair to them. They followed the rules, and those should be able to be completed under those pending applications. And I think the ordinance provides for that. The second thing was the unintended consequences. I'm a former board member of the Homeless Coalition, and most of those West Market area applications that Denise told you all about, a lot of those I did. for affordable housing projects so that they could go compete at the state level for incentives. So we could win affordable projects for Pasco with the lottery system. The more you get in the system, the better chance that Pasco has the opportunity to have some projects that are much needed in Pasco. If not, they go to other counties. So I think staff has done a very good job of coming up with a couple exceptions that will hopefully avoid the unintended consequences on affordable housing.
Okay.
So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I mean, just
I think Mr. Tu wanted to speak on this item too.
Yes, I also believe that Mr. Guardino is also there for this item as well.
Jamie, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to echo Barbara's thoughts on this. Staff's done a great job of incorporating those changes and revisions to the ordinance based on the discussion we had last 2 meetings ago.
Good.
I agree, but for the amendments, I probably wouldn't be for it, but with the criteria that's provided, I think I agree with what everyone's saying.
Okay. So you said you have someone else who wants to speak, Denise?
Yes, we have Eric Garduno, and we also have Joel Tu available.
Mr. Chairman, it's Joel Tu. Can you hear me this time?
Yes, sir, we can.
Hi, Joel Tu, Tu and Associates, Palm Harbor. I respectfully suggest, well, let me first show an example. The mere fact that within 2 weeks, we have these now thoughtful carve-outs of unintended consequences, it's actually a demonstration of why I objected and this planning commission hit the pause button a couple weeks ago. My fear is that there are other factors that need to be looked at before we rush through an ordinance that makes a substantive change. The whole argument made by staff and Mr. Goldstein on the moratorium ordinance is that it wasn't a permanent change. They were just asking for time to study the problem. I also point out that based upon your recommendation of the moratorium ordinance, if the board approves that, and undoubtedly they will, then that renders moot the need to press immediately on this substantive amendment, because part of that moratorium is a prohibition on any of these conditional use applications. So you in fact will not get a new conditional use application for at least 6 months. So my question is, if we've identified these 2 or 3 unintended consequences, perhaps there are others, why would you not hit the pause button on this substantive ordinance, put it into the mix with everything else that is going to be studied and analyzed, and whatever comes out of the end of that 6-month analysis, whatever substantive amendments, this can certainly be one piece of that in whatever final form. But again, I just point out the fact that when we said, whoa, wait a minute, what about this? That suddenly we have this substantive change. That just shows you that everyone is running too fast. They're doing it for, because they're being pressed to do it, and we're simply not thinking this through. So I don't see the need to press forward with this one now because we've got a 6-month hiatus on this very issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Guardino?
Hi there. Yes, I believe the other 2 speakers really cover the points that I wanted to make. I'll just add, well, for clarity's sake, I guess there's 2 questions for clarity's sake. If this ordinance does go through, going to the point that Mr. Toole just mentioned, this would still just like to have staff clarify that this is going to be captured under that moratorium. And then second, in terms of affordable housing, say there is affordable housing being integrated into a larger market rate development, is that going to be captured by these changes, or is that something separate?
So I'll try to answer the question. So both ordinances are approved, then there still would be a moratorium in the specific geographic area that was identified for a 6-month. The key difference between these 2 ordinances is one of them, the one we're considering now, is countywide in nature. So where I disagree with Mr. Chu is that he says we took a 6-month pause. That's only in a very small area of the county that there's a 6-month pause. There's still the rest of the county to deal with. And I think the board's intent is to, with these 3 exceptions, to fit multifamily in commercial districts. So I don't think that the 2 ordinances are addressing the issue. One is addressing a temporary pause for a limited geographic area. The other is a permanent change to the code for all C2 districts. So, all due respect to Mr. Chu, there are other areas of the county that are not in the pause area for which this ordinance would apply. And so that's why staff went ahead and tried to carve out the unintended consequences issues in this ordinance because they knew it was a permanent change to the code that would apply countywide. And I don't want to poke Mr. Chu in the eye. However, all the comments received to date have only addressed these 3 particular unintended consequences: affordable housing, mixed use, market area. If there's some other unintended consequence out there, we haven't heard it. So, and I don't think you heard it today. So I think we've adequately addressed what the Planning Commission asked us to do, which is address the unintended consequences, and I think the board would support these changes.
Okay, I think everybody's spoken, so any questions from the dais? If not, let's make a motion. Drum roll, please. I think the staff has pretty much done what we asked them to do, and they've taken the time to consider the unintended consequences. I think it's not preventing people from getting multifamily zoning. It also allows them to get multifamily under certain conditions in a C2 zone. So I think it's pretty flexible and a fair approach.
I'll make the motion to.
All right. So we have a motion to approve PC 7
Yes, Jamie Girardi, I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the motion carries unanimous. Okay, anything else, Captain?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, you got that one quick. There's no drum roll on that one.
Jamie always beat me to it.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming, everyone, for your participation. You're brilliant as usual. I know it will. You know, I think you're right.
Status of Mike Cox's replacement.